Hey everybody, this is Geo Joe here today with a new product introduction, and I also have an announcement of a training event that I would like to mention at the end of this video. So for today's video, I would like to talk about the new GeoVision VMS v20 software that has been recently released. So if you've been a longtime GeoVision customer, you've known that GeoVision has always offered a free 32-channel video management software. And we do still now have a free option, but this new VMS v20 software has additional features where you can scale all the way up to 256 channels. It can support AI analytics if you purchase the advanced license. And the huge new feature here is the free version of this is now free for the first 64 GeoVision camera connections. So in today's video, I'd like to unpack all the features and just kind of do a quick demo and an overview of what this software has to offer. Now, before I get into an actual demo of the VMS v20 software, I do want to give an overview of the two different options that are available with VMS v20. So starting out, VMS v20 Basic, that is the free version of the software. You can download this directly from the GeoVision website. And this is now free for the first 64 GeoVision camera connections. So in previous versions of our VMS, you got 32 GeoVision camera connections. We've doubled that, and now you get 64 connections all on the same server. You can then purchase what's called VMS 20 Advanced. And there are two options when purchasing this. The first tier gives you 64 GeoVision camera connections, and it unlocks camera side analytics for all 64 of those cameras. In addition to that, it also can provide 16 channels of people and vehicle detection based recording for any non-AI analytics enabled cameras. For example, if you're using an older GeoVision series camera that didn't come with built-in analytics in the camera, this can at least give it 16 channels of people and vehicle detection-based recording. So you're able to filter out false motion events and truly only record on people and vehicle activity. Now, I mentioned on this first tier with 64 channels, it unlocks the analytics for all 64 GeoVision AI cameras. This means that any camera in the GeoVision lineup that you have that has analytics built in, you can now leverage within the VMS v20 software. So if you wanted to set up alerts based on loitering activities or line crossing, or maybe you want to do people or vehicle counting within the VMS, you can do that. And the most benefits that you're going to get is if you use the new GeoVision G series cameras, which are posted on our website now. These have all of the standard analytics that we've had for years, as well as a new one called video metadata. This allows users to archive clothing color, age and gender, as well as vehicle attributes, such as vehicle brand, vehicle color, and those kinds of things. And this kind of data all becomes effective and useful whenever an end user is trying to review video, because those are all searchable data points. I'll do a demonstration of that in a moment, but let's say, for example, you're looking for a subject that is a male wearing a black shirt, and you want to find all the video associated with that so you can quickly, try to narrow it down and find the relevant video. As long as you're using a camera with the video metadata analytic, it will support that. Now, another thing that can be done with the VMS v20 Advanced is you can purchase incremental licenses in blocks of 32 channels all the way up to 256 channels on a single server. So in previous versions of our VMS, you were capped out at 64 cameras, and once you fill that up, you had to go to another VMS machine. This software was developed on 64-bit architecture, and it allows you to really take more advantage of the machine's processor and scale all the way up to 256 channels. Now, obviously, there is a limit. I'm not going to tell you that you can do 256 8-megapixel cameras and display those all live on the screen. So definitely consult the data sheet on this. But 256 channel support if you meet the specs and you use the right combination of cameras. Now, some other things that this offers is facial recognition. This is if you have a camera with face detection built into the camera. Okay, so again, going back to our conversation where I had mentioned that GeoVision cameras with built-in analytics, one of those analytics is an analytic called face detection. As long as your camera had face detection and you pair it with the new VMS v20 Advanced software, it then turns it into facial recognition. So this is actually very useful because the new G series cameras obviously have the facial detection analytic, but some of the previous generation GeoVision cameras, such as the GV-TVD series, the GV-EBD series on some models, as well as the GV-TBL cameras, have the face detection analytic. So if you were using those models in the past, you can typically pair those with the VMS 20 Advanced and then turn them into facial recognition. Going along with the facial recognition topic, there is a feature called EMAP face tracking, where you can upload your floor plan of your facility into the VMS and display it as a channel. And then on that map, you can put icons that show where the cameras are located. And the EMAP face tracking, if you enable facial recognition amongst multiple cameras in the facility, it will start to show an arrow in real time that shows a path that someone is traveling and is seen from camera to camera. So it gives you kind of an idea of where they traveled throughout your facility. Event list, this is great for live guard scenarios where you have like a guard or maybe a manager that's watching the live view of the VMS software. There is now a sidebar over on the right-hand portion of the VMS screen that will show a real-time updating list of any AI analytics or people or vehicle attribute activities, and then also just general system events as well. So it allows you to monitor things in real time. And then as you see an event you want to take a closer look at, you can double click on it and it'll give you basically an instant replay of that event. Now, one last note, you can see it kind of at the bottom of this screen in red. Any prior purchases of the VMS Pro software gives you a little bit of credit within this VMS. So if you purchased a VMS Pro license in the past, and that would take you from the 32 channel to 64 channel mark in the old version of the software, you can now take that dongle and bring it over here to VMS 20 Basic or Advanced, and it'll give you another 32 channels on top of the base license. So for example, if you just started out with the 64 channel VMS 20 Basic and you have an old VMS Pro dongle, you can bring that over into this software and now it's bumped you up to a 96 channel platform. So I wanted to again just give a quick overview of the two different options here with VMS v20. And now I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to take a look at the actual software itself and give a quick rundown and demo of some of the most useful features within the software. So right here on the screen, I have the new VMS v20 software, and for longtime users of GeoVision, you will probably feel that it looks very similar to the past versions of the software. However, there are some added and new features in here, and I want to just give kind of a quick overview tutorial of this. So right off the bat in the live view screen, the first two new things are these sidebars here on the left, where you have the ability to, on the fly, bring up the content list over on the left side with this little arrow over button. So you can bring up the content list and then you can collapse it when you don't need it. And that way it's always active. You don't have to go into the menu up here at the top right like you did in previous versions of the software. So it is just a little bit easier. It's a little more accessible over there. Now, if we take a look at the left side of the screen here in the content list, we have some of the same layout options and some of the same drop-down menus that we had in the past, but there's also some new things in here as well. So under layout, obviously, this is where we can go in and create as many layouts as we want. And then we have the ability to double click and then cycle between our layouts. So if you want to group your cameras and then be able to, jump between those different groups, you do have the ability to do so. Directly below that, EMAP, this is where you can go in and you can create and load your EMAPs into the software. And that's what I have displaying right here. This gives you the ability to upload the customer's floor plan. You can place icons on the map that shows where the camera is at in the facility. And then you do also have the ability, of course, to interact with the map. As you can see here, I'm able to zoom in, zoom out, rotate the view of the map, all those kinds of things. And what happens here, and this is especially useful for live guard scenarios, is when the camera sees an event, you get a live pop-up, and then you can double click on it to full screen that camera and take a closer look at the event. And then, of course, once you're done, you just double click, it goes back into your live view, and then you can double click again to go back into your full layout of cameras. So the EMAP feature, again, is very useful when you have a live guard scenario. And then, of course, you have your camera list here where you can hover over and it shows all of your cameras with a live preview. You can drag and drop as needed. And then one thing I do want to show within this section is now whenever you right click on a camera, this is very convenient because you have the video process tab right here. And this is very convenient because previously when you want to set up analytics within GeoVision cameras and the VMS software, you had to first log into the actual web page of the camera. And then you had to come in here to enable it. But one big new feature is you can now go in and you can select the IPCVA and select your camera, hit setting, and now you have the ability to configure the analytics right here in the VMS software rather than having to go into the web page of each individual camera. So as you open up this menu here, it'll show you your different VMS side analytic options that are available. And again, this is when you have a camera that has built-in analytics. It'll tell you what analytics are available. So you select the one that you're interested in. And then you have the ability right here to hit AI cam setting. And then it'll bring up your window where you can go in and do your configurations. So for example, if you wanted to make an intrusion zone, you can go ahead and draw your box in there. You can enable that. And then you can say, okay, I want this to recognize based on human and motor vehicle activity. You can even dial up your sensitivity and all those kinds of things. And then of course you'd hit save and then okay. And it's going to save that setting and allow you to go ahead and implement that setting. Now you can also go in and you can trigger things to happen based off these analytics. So when you click the little arrow over button, it's going to show what options you have to trigger. So do you have a physical IO box that you want to trigger? Do you want to invoke an alarm, which means play a sound within the VMS software? Also IP speaker support. With the GeoVision line of IP speakers, you now have the ability to trigger a pre-recorded message through that IP speaker. And then lastly, of course, email or camera pop-up if you want to have a camera pop-up on the screen when those events occur. So I just wanted to take a little quick sidebar here and show how easy it is to now just configure those analytics right within the VMS software. And then some other tabs that you have here, of course, IO device. If you have an input-output box, you have the ability to add and manage it here. POS integration, this software does offer it as well to where you can do POS overlay on the screen on top of a camera view, or you can even have like a dedicated gray window like this where the POS text will just flow on top of that. So you can see that instead of having it on top of a camera view. IP speakers, so you do have the ability to add in GeoVision IP speakers and manage them. Once they are added in, you can also right click and you can trigger a pre-recorded message to play. So if you have a particular audio file that you want to play, you can do that. And then of course you do have your push to talk button right here, where if you have a microphone connected to the VMS software, you can push and do a live talk down. So several new features here on the left sidebar. And again, you can always collapse that as you don't need it. And then you can bring it back when you do need it. And then over on the right side of the screen, if we bring up, this is what we call the event list. And with the event list, it's going to keep a real-time updating log of any relevant events that you want to see. So for example, if I hit filter, it gives me a list of everything I have the ability to show. And I can turn things off, I can turn things on, just choose what relevant events that I want to see. And it will keep a real-time updating list here. As I scroll through the event list and I see one I want to take a look at, I can simply double click on it and it will now sync me up to there's my video. And if I would like, I can play that footage back. You do have the ability, of course, to get out of that and go right back into the live view. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a video or there's an icon that allows you to return to the live view. So again, the event list over on the right can be a very handy tool, especially for a live guard scenario. Now, some other things that can be done with the VMS v20 software, as long as you have an analytic camera that's capable of it, is people and vehicle counting. And this kind of data can be displayed on screen here if you want. And this can even be recorded with the video. So in this scene, we have a line here where we're counting traffic as it goes, in this direction. It'll show that on-screen display right there. And that will also be logged within the system log. So you can go into the playback window and you can actually do a search and run a report that shows you how many vehicles or how many people went through an area for a particular day or a particular time range. So that would be the people and vehicle counting options. And then we're going to flip over into the live view now. So in the top right-hand corner, if we go to view log, this is where I think this software really starts to become very useful and handy for a customer. And that's when we go into toolbar and tools and AI query. And this I feel is very impressive because in this menu on the left, you have basically 4 categories that you can search by: face, event, people, and vehicle. And if we just start at the top here, as you can see, by default, it selects all cameras in your system. But you do have the ability to check which cameras that you want to search by. If you want to really just narrow it down to one particular camera, you can go in and choose that camera. And then, of course, you can do your time filter if you want to choose a particular day and time to search. So you get those parameters set, and then you're going to think about what type of analytic you want to search. So under the face category, if I expand this allows you to do facial recognition searching. And there's a few different ways that you can do this. You do have the ability to create profiles for people of interest, and it can then recognize and log that person anytime that they are seen by the cameras. And those, of course, become searchable events. So, for example, if we know that we have a subject enrolled named Anthony and we want to find any relevant activity associated with him, we type in that subject's name, hit query, and then it gives you a list of results there. And then as you scroll through, you can just simply double click and it'll play back your footage associated with that event. So it shows it right over here on the right in a smaller window. And then you have the ability to hit view by view log and it'll play it back full screen for you right here. Now down the bottom left, it does show the AI query window. You can restore that as needed. And then we're going to pause the video here. And we'll go back in and do our searching whenever we're ready to do another search. Some other things that you can do with the facial recognition searching: if you have a photo that maybe law enforcement has given you and you want to see if they've been at your facility, you can actually click right here in what we call face matching. And this allows you to do a cross-reference across any of your video from all of your cameras at your facility. So again, if you've been given a photo of someone that's not necessarily enrolled in the database and you think maybe they've been at your facility, you do have the ability to do a cross search there. In the next category here under event, there are some general analytics you can search by. So PVD motion stands for people vehicle detection based motion. There's intrusion, line crossing, enter and leaving area, loitering, crowd detection. So several built-in camera side analytics that you can search by. And you can just simply select the ones that you want, hit query, and then if there are any results, it would give you those over on the right side of the screen. Now, of course, all of these events, you do have the ability to double click on them. It syncs you up to the moment in time there, and then you can play back that footage. So it's really meant to help an end user find their video quicker, rather than just having to do a manual search of the 24-hour timeline. The next 2 categories, these are only relevant for G-series cameras. And in my opinion, these are the most useful parts of this AI query. So the first one here under the people category, once we toggle this on, you have a few different categories you can search by: age, gender, and then clothing color, as well as accessories. So for example, if we know our subject is an adult male wearing a black short sleeve shirt, for example, we'll go ahead and select those criteria and then hit query. And as you can see on the right, it has narrowed down our events to just males that have a black short sleeve shirt on. And when we double click, it syncs up our video to that exact moment in time so we can then play it back. You can obviously do a combination search here too. So if you want to search by upper and lower body clothing color, and maybe even narrow it down to maybe the subject is wearing a hat or not wearing a hat, there are some accessory searches that you can add into this as well. And then lastly, under the vehicle category, once we toggle this on, at the top of this section, you can see here there are some general types of vehicles you can search by. Like sedan, SUV, pickup, those kinds of things. But then if you scroll down a little bit further, there's actually brands of vehicles that you can search. So if we go down, for example, we'll choose Tesla, we'll hit query. There it gives us our results. And if we want to narrow it down even further, maybe we just want to choose all white vehicles. We select the color white. It gives us our results there. And then as always, we double click and then there's our footage associated with that event. So this has been a quick overview tutorial of some of the main features within the VMS v20. So I do also want to announce that coming up on September 9th through 11th, 2025, GeoVision will be offering a free webinar-based technical certification training on this VMS v20 software. I'll put a link in the description of this video. And this is a 3-day event. It runs from 9 a.m. to noon Pacific time each day. Users don't have to attend every day, but you're definitely welcome to. This website here, it will show you the agenda and everything that we are covering. And again, this is a certification training. So, the first day is basically like an overview showing some of the main features. Day 2 gets into some of the advanced capabilities, setting up the analytics. And then day 3 talks more about the remote management and how to remotely view and set up the mobile app and those kinds of things. And then, of course, down at the bottom of this page, you'll have your registration link so you can go in and get all that information. So this has been a quick overview video of the new VMS v20 software. For further information on our product line, please check us out at www.geovision.com.tw/US. Thanks a lot for watching.